Alright, so let's get into it. So this is a Nielsen document that Ronnie Rodriguez sent us, membership reps, and it's about Chinese and Japanese cultures in trying to help membership reps recruit homes that are Chinese or Japanese. So here you have a Chinese color symbolism, and then he goes into what white means, red means, yellow, blue, green, black. So according to this, white can mean death, but also refer to purity. Chinese use white instead of black during funerals. Don't give gifts wrapped in white or white flowers. Red, it's a celebration and luck. Yellow connotates imperial royalty, prosperity, and luck. Blue, associated with immortality. Green, this is not a good color choice for packaging. Green hats mean a man's wife is cheating on him. Wow, I didn't really. This is kind of like an odd thing. Black, inauspicious and bad luck. So I am Chinese and I didn't know about this. So I guess according to this Nielsen document, green, it means a man's wife is cheating on him. Chinese number symbolism, and then he goes over some of the numbers. Next, more about numbers, and then more about numbers. And then he goes into Western culture is individualism, Asian culture, collectivism. Recommended books, yes, 50 scientifically proven ways to be persuasive. I'm not sure if he got the information from this book or if this book was just, used to copy and paste, or I'm not sure exactly, but something about promoting yes, 50 scientifically proven ways to be persuasive. Interesting. And then Asian cultural sensitivity training, Japanese culture and people. And so San Francisco LPM, Misu Mochizuki. So maybe Ronnie Rodriguez, combined. I'm not sure if he actually made this or if he just pasted this in, because it says some other person's name from the San Francisco local people meter market. And where is Japan? And then there's a map of Japan. And background, Japanese make up the 5th largest Asian segment in the DMA of Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and New York based on Census 2000. And then in Japan, the first name follows family name, and it would be more polite to call the family name followed by san to express respect. Sato-san, Suzuki-san. Avoid calling the first name as it is appropriate only in family members and close friends. The gender of a Japanese person may be guessed by the ending of his or her first name. First names ending with ryo, shi, ya, or o are typically male first names, while names ending in ko, mi, I, and yo are typically female first names. And then etiquette, bowing is a very important custom in Japan. Most frequently, they greet each other by bowing instead of handshaking. Japanese people tend to become uncomfortable with any physical forms of contact, but some Japanese may be used to shaking hands with Westerners. So this is a thing to help membership reps in like Los Angeles, San Francisco, etc. recruit Asian homes, like Chinese or Japanese. This segment is about Japanese. But basically, if you look at the wording of this, most frequently they greet each other by bowing instead of handshaking. Japanese people tend to become uncomfortable with any physical forms of contact, but some Japanese may be used to shaking hands with Westerners. The people living in the U.S., although they may come from Japanese heritage, they are Americans. So I'm not sure why they're separating them, etc., versus Westerners, because I'm pretty sure as a Chinese background person, when I lived in the U.S., I consider myself a Westerner. I'm not sure why they're saying that, oh, it's separating these, Japanese people or Chinese people from Westerners, because it's in the U.S. San Francisco is, last I checked, in the U.S. So is Los Angeles and other cities that are part of the U.S. So you're talking to Americans. So I'm not sure why they're separating people inside the U.S. like that. But let's go on. Custom and etiquette. For both giving and receiving, two hands should always be used when presenting business card, recruitment brochure, incentives, and gifts. So use two hands, according to this brochure. To be fully polite in the Japanese culture, it is expected to always reflect if one's action may be considered rude unintentionally. Thus, Japanese frequently use apologetic expressions such as "gomennasai," which means I'm sorry, and "sumem-esen" for excuse me. Bowing is important in expressing regret of any inconvenience the visit may have caused, so one often bows when apologizing and making a request. And there's a picture or logo of McDonald's. I'm not really sure why they have a logo of McDonald's, because this is the Golden Arch. It's not signifying bowing. Why are there people bowing in front of McDonald's? I'm not sure what kind of picture, if it's really appropriate, but let's move on. The Japanese people are submissive and polite. So they're saying Japanese people are submissive. And then they're using this information to tell membership reps that work at Nielsen that Japanese people in the U.S. are submissive and polite. I'm not sure if that's overgeneralizing, because submissive isn't. I'm not sure if it's really like a great word to describe someone. Submissive. Maybe they should have used a different word, or somehow. I'm not sure if this is politically correct. But anyways, they say the Japanese people are submissive and polite. They have difficulty of saying no directly, but it does not imply that they are always agreeable and easy to interact with. Customs and etiquette. Japanese are quiet time. Japanese are quite time conscious. So they're time conscious. It is important to be punctual to the appointment with a Japanese household. When entering a Japanese house, you may need to take off your shoes at the entrance and change into slippers, which are usually provided by the host. During the conversation, hi equals yes. This more often means I hear what you are saying, keep talking, not I agree with what you're saying. However, when collecting demographic questions, the respondent may say hi to mean yes to a specific question asked. And then here they put pictures of people smiling. Giving gifts. The appropriate gift for a personal visit to a Japanese home would be a box of cookies or other sweets. These items should be purchased cellophane, wrapped, or sealed, and the expiration date must be visible. So that this brochure or whatever it is emphasized must be visible, the expiration date. It is polite to belittle the value of your gift when you offer it, even if it is costly. This attitude of depreciating the gift or even oneself is considered to be polite. When the Japanese are also humble in accepting gifts, but be cautious of not trying to overtly impose the gift because it can assume that the respondent likes the gift and that he or she wants to accept it. This assumption may be offensive because it may hurt his or her pride. Giving gifts. 3-time rule. Japanese people will not accept your recruiting gift immediately because it is an embarrassing and impolite behavior to do so. However, you have to insist giving the gift 3 times, and if you hear the third no, that is when you definitely have to stop your attempt to give the gift. So apparently this Nielsen, brochure about recruiting Japanese people mentions the 3-time rule. I'm not sure what source they have for this sort of information, because usually with regular people, if they say no a couple of times, they don't want the gift. So I'm sure it is the same, but of course you could say no out of politeness as well. But apparently somehow they have this information of a 3-time rule here in this brochure. Giving gifts. When Japanese people say thank you to you when accepting gifts, do not ever say you're welcome, because it will indirectly mean that they requested you to do it, although they did not. They use the expression of you are welcome only when it is obvious that a person was forced to do something for the other, and it is only used in close relationships. Okay, so when Japanese people say thank you to you when accepting a gift, do not ever say you're welcome, because it will indirectly mean that they requested you to do it, although they did not. They use the expression of you're welcome only when it is obvious that a person was forced to do something for the other, and it is only used in close relationships. So I guess you don't say you're welcome, according to this brochure. Recognition and praise. Toyota, Mitsubishi, Honda, Hitachi, Nintendo, Toshiba, Sharp, Lexus, Panasonic, Sony. So maybe when you talk to Japanese people, you should praise Toyota or Mitsubishi or Honda, Hitachi, Nintendo, Toshiba, Sharp, Lexus, Panasonic, and Sony. This seems really odd. Maybe the Japanese people that you meet in the US, in San Francisco, maybe they don't work for any of these companies, but I guess you should still praise these companies because these companies are Japanese. Basic Japanese greetings. Here are some greetings for good morning, good afternoon, good evening, how are you, thank you, I am sorry, goodbye, yes. Any questions? So Asian cultural sensitivity training, Korean culture, Ronnie Rodriguez, Seattle LPM, Q1 meeting 3/17/2009. Background. Koreans make up the third largest Asian segment in the DMA of Los Angeles and New York, and the fourth largest in the Chicago DMA based on Census 2000. Korean names are written with the family name first, then the given name. However, some Koreans may have adopted the Western custom of writing the given name first. While bowing is still the custom for greeting, Koreans also adopted the Western handshake. A firm handshake is most appropriate with females. A gentler handshake is appropriate. Foreigners are not expected to bow, but if attempted correctly, can likely win the respect of the Korean. Koreans also use similar nonverbal cues as Westerners, e.g., they nod their head up and down for yes, sideways for no, and inclining raise of the eyebrow, etc. So I guess this part is done by Ronnie Rodriguez, while the other parts may have been done by other people. About 43% of the Koreans have the following last name: Kim, Lee, and Pak. Pronounced Park. When and if invited to enter a Korean home, you shouldn't remove your shoes unless they indicate otherwise. When confronted with language barrier, use pictures and graphics of the recruitment brochure in Korean to augment the purpose of the visit. Foreigners who make the extra effort to respect Korean custom will be viewed as attractive and sincere. Traditional to bring small gift each visit. Bringing gift is a sign of respect. The most appropriate gift for a personal visit to a Korean home would be a basket of fruits, pastries, cakes, and cookies, etc. Basic Korean greetings. How are you? I'm sorry. Thank you. Goodbye.